The Forsaken Heir. Episode 80. Takehiko hurriedly said, "Don't come. Tokyo is very chaotic now. In just 1 or 2 days, too many people have died. Besides, you are ill, you should rest in Kyoto." Nanako hurriedly said, "My father, my injuries are all healed. Don't worry, I will rush to Tokyo to take care of you as soon as possible." Naturally, Takehiko didn't believe that his daughter's injuries would heal, and naturally thought that Nanako was just comforting him. Therefore, he said to Nanako in a serious tone, "Nanako, you have to listen to me, stay in Kyoto honestly, don't go anywhere, let alone coming to Tokyo." What else Nanako wanted to say, Takehiko angrily said, "If you let me know that you dare to come to Tokyo secretly, I don't have you as my daughter." After that, he hung up the phone. Nanako burst into tears immediately. She was extremely worried about her father's safety. Although she was basically sure that the father on the phone did not look like life-threatening, she felt that her father's injury was not as bad as he said on the phone. Such an understatement. Charlie on the side asked her, "Nanako, is there something wrong with your father?" Nanako nodded tearfully, and said, "My father called and said that he was hunted down and he is now in the hospital." After speaking, she looked at Charlie and choked up, "Master, I'm so worried." Charlie couldn't help but be comforted. "Your father shouldn't be life-threatening, so you don't have to worry too much." Nanako shook her head and said, "I'm afraid that my father is hiding something from me." After that, she looked at Charlie eagerly and asked, "Master, I want to go back to Tokyo, can you help me?" Charlie asked her, "How do you think I can help you?" Nanako said, "My father won't let me go back. If I tell the servants of the family, they will definitely not agree to it, and may even ban me. Since we have slipped out now, I don't want to go back again. Hope Master can lend me some money, and I will take the first Shinkansen back to Tokyo after dawn." Seeing her look very urgent, Charlie sighed and said, "It's just 12 o'clock in the night, and the Shinkansen will have to wait until the morning at least, or I will drive you back. We will be there in just over 3 hours." "Really?" Nanako looked at Charlie excitedly, and blurted out, "Will Master really want to drive me to Tokyo?" Charlie smiled slightly, "I've said everything, can I lie to you?" Nanako said, But isn't Master having business affairs in Osaka? If you take me to Tokyo, will it not delay your affairs in Osaka?" "It's okay." Charlie smiled indifferently and comforted, "You don't have to worry about me. Someone is helping me deal with things in Osaka. The top priority now is to send you back to Tokyo to see your father, lest you keep worrying about him." Nanako grabbed Charlie's hands and said in grateful words, "Master, thank you so much." Charlie smiled and said, "Okay, don't say anything polite. My car happened to be parked nearby. Let's set off now." "Okay." Nanako nodded repeatedly, and the eyes were full of gratitude and obsession. Charlie at this moment, in her eyes, is the world-famous hero sent by heaven to save her. In the middle of the night, Charlie drove the car, carrying Nanako, and galloping back to Tokyo. In the middle of the journey, Isaac called Charlie and asked him if he had finished the work and when he would return to Osaka. Charlie told him that he would not be able to return for a while, and that he would not be able to return until tomorrow. Isaac didn't know what was wrong with Charlie, but he knew that Charlie was extremely strong, and no one in Japan could threaten him, so he was relieved. Nanako, who was sitting in the co-pilot, seemed nervous all the way. Although Takehiko Ito said on the phone that he was not in danger, Nanako was still a little worried. After more than 3 hours, Charlie drove the car back to Tokyo and stopped in front of Tokyo's best hospital, Tokyo University Affiliated Hospital. This hospital is the highest-ranked hospital in Japan, and represents the highest level of treatment. After the car stopped steadily, Nanako couldn't wait to push the door to get out of the car, but before getting of the car, she looked at Charlie and asked, "Master, are you going to go up with me?" Charlie said slightly embarrassed, "Your father may not want to see me, right?" Nanako said earnestly, "Master, you saved my life, no matter how big a misunderstanding, I believe my father will never care about it again." Charlie thought for a moment, and said, "Okay, then I will go with you." In fact, what Charlie thought was very simple. After all, Takehiko is Nanako's father. If his physical condition really has any major problems, he might be able to help. The two came to the floor of the intensive care unit and found that starting from the elevator entrance to the lounge and corridor, they were all full of people. Among them, most of them are members of the ITO family, and a small part is members of special operations teams sent by the TMPD. As soon as the elevator door opened, everyone outside looked at the elevator car vigilantly, and found that it was Nanako and a strange man. Everyone was surprised. At this time, a middle-aged woman rushed over and asked in surprise, "Nanako, why are you here?" The speaker is Emi Ito, the younger sister of Takehiko and the aunt of Nanako. When Nanako saw her, she hurriedly bowed, "Auntie, how is my father?" A trace of melancholy flashed in Emi's expression, and she sighed, "Brother, his vital signs are very stable. The doctor said that he is out of danger, but..." Nanako blurted out and asked, "But what?" "Hey!" Emi sighed and said seriously, "My brother's legs are seriously injured. The doctor has already amputated his legs below the knees in order to save his life. For the rest of his life, he will have to sit on a wheelchair or use artificial limb." Ah! Nanako's tears burst into her eyes. Hearing that her father had both legs amputated, she naturally felt distress deep in her heart. She knows her father's character very well. She must be strong and tenacious throughout her life. It is indeed a very heavy blow for people like him to use a wheelchair for the rest of life. It's like her mentor, Kazuki Yamamoto, who has studied martial arts all his life, but never thought that he was beaten as a waste because he underestimated Charlie's strength. The original martial arts master could only lie in bed and live his life. This kind of blow can be called fatal. Charlie couldn't help frowning at this moment. Takehiko's luck didn't know whether it was good or bad. To say that he was in bad luck, but he still got his life back, otherwise, he has been separated from Nanako long ago. To say that he is lucky, in fact, he only needs to amputate a few hours later, as long as his leg is still on his body, his own rejuvenation pill can heal it. But if the limb has been amputated, the rejuvenation pill will be helpless. Although rejuvenating pill is strong, it does not have the effect of regenerating a broken limb. Moreover, Takehiko was injured just now tonight, an amputation a few hours later will not have much impact. After all, it takes time for damaged limb tissues to rot and spread infection. Doctors assist in certain anti-inflammatory treatments. A few hours window can still be won. If Takehiko Ito hesitated and thought about it a little bit, he might be able to drag him and Nanako over. However, what he didn't expect was that he would be so straightforward and had his limbs amputated directly. Charlie estimated that it was the hospital who felt that Ito's affected limb had no value for preservation, so they simply performed the amputation. This can only be said that Ito's luck is not so good. At this moment, Nanako next to Charlie cried and asked, "Auntie, Father, is he in good condition? Is he particularly angry or depressed?" Emmy gently took Nanako's hand and smiled and said, "Your father looked very open this time. He personally told me that survival is already the greatest gift, even if he becomes a disabled person in the future. It's okay." As she said, Emmy sighed again. "In fact, what your father fears most is not injury or disability, nor loss of life, but in the future journey of life, unable to accompany and walk with you, this time he could have died. Escaped, you don't know how happy he is. This is like a mountain of father's love." Nanako couldn't control her emotions anymore, and she hugged Emmy and cried loudly. Emmy patted her back gently, remembering something, and blurted out in surprise, "Nanako, why, how can you stand up? The doctor said that you will always depend on wheelchair in the future?" Nanako looked at Charlie and said to Emmy truthfully, "Auntie, thanks to Master Wade, he cured me." "Master Wade?" Emmy was shocked, and blurted out, "That's it, is that Charlie Wade, who owed our ITO families $4.5 billion USD. Nanako was a little embarrassed and said, "Auntie, don't worry about money too much. Master Wade not only healed my injury, but also saved my life." "Save your life?" Emmy blurted out, "Nanako, are you in any danger?" Nanako nodded and said, "Earlier tonight, Maki Takahashi sent 6 Tenglin ninjas to Kyoto to murder me. Thanks to Master Wade, I was spared." Emmy widened her eyes and blurted out, "I didn't expect Takahashi to be so vicious. Even he won't let you go." After that, she looked at Charlie and said seriously, "Mr. Charlie, I am not overly qualified for the grievances between you and my brother, but for the thing that you saved Nanako, I want to thank you on behalf of my brother and the entire ITO family." As soon as the voice fell, she immediately bowed to 90 degrees and held it for about 3 to 5 seconds. Charlie said indifferently, "You are polite. I and Nanako are friends, and these are what friends should do." At this time, a doctor ran over and said to Emmy, "The patient is awake and wants to see his family. Ms. Ito, please come with me." Emmy hurriedly said to Nanako, "Nanako, let's go see your father together." Nanako nodded heavily, and immediately asked Charlie, "Master, are you coming?" Charlie smiled slightly, thinking that since Takehiko has been amputated, he can't help much, so he said, "Nanako, I will not go there, lest Mr. Ito will be emotional and affect recovery after seeing me." The reason why Charlie came was because of Nanako's face, so he could help if he wanted to. But since Takehiko has been amputated and his life is not in danger, there is no need for his help here, and he does not want to go in and meet Takehiko to avoid embarrassment. Nanako didn't insist upon seeing this, and said softly, "Master, then please wait here for a while, I'll go in and see my father." Charlie nodded, "Go, I'll be here." Nanako nodded lightly, and then went to the ward with her Aunt Emmy. In the ward, Takehiko Ito just woke up. After both legs were amputated, the doctor used an analgesic pump for him, so he basically didn't feel the pain, but he was always worried about Nanako in Kyoto, so he couldn't sleep well. He just dreamed that Nanako had an accident in Kyoto, and Takehiko immediately woke up and wanted to order his sister Emmy to send someone to bring Nanako back to Tokyo as soon as possible. However, what he didn't even dream of was that after the ward door was opened, his sister Emmy came in with his beloved baby daughter, Nanako. "Nanako!" Takehiko Ito blurted out in surprise, "Why are you here?" Nanako saw her father lying on the hospital bed pale and bloodless, with thick gauze wrapped around his legs and knees, and disappeared without a trace from below the knees. She burst into tears and cried out, "Odo-san!" After speaking, she ran to the hospital bed, grabbed Takehiko's hand and cried bitterly. Only then did Ito recover his senses. Seeing his daughter appear in front of him safely, he was relieved, and he was even more relieved. He rejoiced and said, "Nanako, Odo-san really didn't expect to see you alive. At this moment, seeing you in front of me is really worth everything." Nanako cried and said, "Odo-san, you have suffered." Takehiko smiled and said, No, Nanako." Odo-san knew in his heart that being able to survive is already the greatest fortune. "I am already very satisfied." As he said, he suddenly remembered a detail just now and exclaimed, "Nanako, what about your legs, how can you walk?" Nanako choked and said, "Odo-san, I almost died by the sword of Tenglin ninjas tonight." "What?" Takehiko Ito was shocked and blurted out, "Tenglin ninja came to assassinate you?" "Yeah." Nanako nodded and said, "The Tenglin family sent 6 ninjas to Kyoto to assassinate me." 6 ninjas? Takehiko Ito was even more horrified, and said nervously, "I didn't give ninjas to protect you, how did you escape?" Nanako hurriedly said, "Thanks to Master Charlie Wade, he saved me." "Charlie?" Takehiko's eyes widened. "Yes." Nanako hurriedly said, "It is Master Wade from China. He not only killed 6 Tenglin ninjas and saved my life, but he also cured my injury with a magical medicine. I am now completely fine, healthy as before, and I even feel better than before." "Really?" Takehiko asked in surprise, "Nanako, you don't lie to Odo-san?" Emmy smiled and said, "Brother, didn't you see that Nanako ran over from the door just now?" "Oh yes." Ito was overjoyed, and nodded and said excitedly, "It's great. It's great. I dream of wishing Nanako can heal and stand up again. This is even more important than my own life. I didn't expect it to happen." As he said, Takehiko asked Nanako again, "According to this, you came to Tokyo. Charlie should have sent you here?" Nanako said truthfully, "Yes, Odo-san, it's Master Wade, who drove me all the way from Kyoto to here." After that, Nanako said again, "By the way, Odo-san, the corpses of the 6 Tenglin ninjas are still in the storage room of courtyard. I have to trouble you to order the housekeeper to send someone to deal with it. Okay. Ito sighed, sighing as if he was talking to himself. I have been hating Charlie for the past few days, but I didn't expect him to save my beloved daughter and heal her too. In contrast to my daughter's injury, I am really a villain's heart to save a gentleman's belly. After that, he hurriedly asked, Nanako, where is Mr. Charlie? Nanako hurriedly said, Oh Duzan, Master Wade is outside. Takehiko hurriedly tried to sit upright with both hands, and said seriously, Hurry up and invite him in, I want to thank him face to face. Nanako hesitated for a moment, and said, Oh Duzan, Master Wade said, you will be angry if you see him. How come? Ito said seriously, my contradiction with him is nothing more than the 4.5 billion, but he saved your life. In the eyes of Odo-san, your life, don't say 4.5 billion US dollars, even 45 billion US dollars, it can't be exchanged. Therefore, Mr. Charlie is my great benefactor, and I want to thank him in person. Nanako hesitated for a few seconds, and then said, Oh Duzan, I will ask Master Wade, if he wants, I will bring him in. Takehiko said immediately, Okay. Go ahead. Nanako came out of the ward and walked to Charlie. Charlie asked in surprise, Why did you come out so soon? Nanako stammered and said, Master Wade. Father, he wants to see you. Charlie smiled a little awkwardly, he has just finished the amputation, even if it is not life-threatening, his body should be relatively weak. It's not appropriate to see him at this time? Nanako hurriedly waved her hand and said, That's not the case. Father wants to thank Master in person. Thank Master for saving my life and healing my injury. Charlie asked a little surprised, Your father really said that? Yes. Nanako solemnly nodded and said, I use my personality to assure Master Wade. Charlie smiled slightly and said generously, If this is the case, then I will go and meet Mr. Ito. After that, he followed Nanako to Ito's ward. As soon as he entered the ward, Takehiko sat up with the help of Emi, clasped his fists to Charlie, and said piously, Mr. Charlie, thank you for saving the little girl's life and curing her. For this great grace, the Ito family is unforgettable. Charlie really didn't expect that Takehiko's attitude was so good, so at this moment he was a little stunned. Immediately, he smiled and said, Mr. Ito is polite. Nanako and I are friends. I should do all these things. Takehiko sighed and said apologetically, There have been many things that have offended you before, and I hope you don't mind. Charlie was also generous, smiled slightly, and said, Mr. Ito is polite. I've turned over the previous misunderstandings and you don't need to mention it again. The subtext of Charlie's words is actually, the misunderstanding will not be mentioned anymore, and the 4.5 billion US dollars matter will not be mentioned again. Although he was not short of money, he didn't want to spit out the money in his pocket easily. It wasn't that he wanted to misuse Takehiko's money. The point was that even if the money was thrown out, he couldn't just spit it out in a few words. At least, the money will have to be taken out by Nanako when she needs it in the future, and it will be given to her only. But this may have to wait for Nanako to inherit the Ito family. Takehiko is also a good person. Hearing this, he knows what Charlie means. $4.5 billion USD is indeed a huge sum of money, but since Charlie didn't want to give it, he couldn't chase him for it. After all, Charlie saved his daughter's life and made her completely healed. This is really a great kindness. Otherwise, even if the daughter was not in danger, she will not be able to live without the torture of wheelchair and illness for the rest of her life. Therefore, Takehiko also consciously did not mention the $4.5 billion US, but asked very curiously, "Mr. Charlie, how did you save the little girl, by chance?" Charlie said truthfully, "I originally took over the production line of Kobayashi Pharmaceutical in Osaka. I heard that Ms. Nanako is in Kyoto, and it's only a 40-minute drive from Osaka to Kyoto. I wanted to meet her. I didn't expect it to happen. I met the ninja of the Tenglin family who came there to attack her, so I did it." Charlie couldn't help but sigh. It's also a coincidence. If I arrive later, I might be helpless. Takehiko also nodded in fear, and exclaimed, "Thanks to Mr. Charlie." After finishing speaking, he couldn't restrain the angry cold voice. The ninjas of the Tenglin family are loyal to Maki Takahashi. I don't understand why Maki Takahashi has acted on me. Everyone is competing with me. The Sui family's cooperation, even if there are some holidays and misunderstandings on weekdays, there is no need to kill my daughter like this, right?" Charlie frowned immediately. "What did you say? The Sui family? Which Sui family?" Takehiko explained, "It's the Sui family, the top big family in China. They want to engage in ocean shipping and they have taken a fancy to a few ports in Japan, so they want to cooperate with Japanese families. Both the Ito family and the Takahashi family in their short list." After speaking, Takehiko said again, "For our two families, whoever can cooperate with the Sui family will have the opportunity to surpass each other and become the first family in Japan. Therefore, both of us attach great importance to this cooperation. But I didn't expect that Maki Takahashi would actually act like this." Charlie suddenly remembered that he was in Kyoto, following the two Chinese people saved from the Iga family ninja. Are they from the Sui family? Thinking of this, Charlie hurriedly asked again, "Mr. Ito, who did the Sui family send to discuss cooperation with you this time?" Takehiko said, "They sent their eldest grandson and eldest granddaughter, one named Haifei and the other named Zayu." Charlie frowned and asked, "Aren't these two very young? Woman is only in her early 20s, and man is only 25 or 6. "Yes," Ito said, "Haifei is almost 25 or 6, Zayu and Nanako should be about the same age, both 22 years old." As he said, Ito sighed and said, "But, who would have thought that the Sui family's siblings were bizarrely kidnapped after they came to Japan? The kidnappers also killed more than a dozen of Sue's entourage? It turned Tokyo upside down, and Maki Takahashi and I were both listed as suspects by the TMPD." Hearing this, Charlie was basically sure that the siblings that he accidentally saved and let go in Kyoto were the eldest grandson and eldest granddaughter of the Sui family. Thinking of this, Charlie's expression suddenly became very ugly. Sui family. The Sui family. In the beginning, it was the Sua family who took the lead and united countless other families in East Cliff to form an anti-Wade alliance that was an enemy of his father. Although not sure whether the death of his parents is the result of the Sua family and the anti-Wade alliance. However, at least he can be sure. In this matter, the Sua family is absolutely unclear about the relationship. Unexpectedly, he saved the eldest grandson and eldest granddaughter of the enemy's family. At this moment, Charlie regretted it. The hatred of parents is shared. Even if he didn't take the initiative to make the descendants of the Sua family pay the price, he shouldn't have saved their lives. Thinking of this, Charlie really wanted to slap himself 100 times. Seeing his ugly expression, Takehiko hurriedly asked him, "Mr. Charlie, do you know someone from the Sua family?" Charlie sighed, shook his head and said, "I don't know, but I accidentally saved them in Kyoto." "What?" Takehiko Ito exclaimed, "The Sua brothers and sisters were taken to Kyoto? Could it be that Tenglin Ninja did it?" "No." Charlie shook his head and said, "Iga Ninja did it. At that time, after I solved Tenglin Ninja, I found Iga Ninja went to Ito's mansion to step on something. I was afraid that someone wanted to harm Nanako, so I followed along all the way. It was discovered that another group of ninjas had kidnapped the Sua family girl and boy, and wanted to kill them before hiding their bodies in the Ito mansion to blame the Ito family." Takehiko blurted out in amazement, "Who is instigated by those ninjas? It is so vicious. This is to push my Ito family into the fire pit." Charlie said, "I heard that they were instigated by a guy named Matsumoto." "Matsumoto?" Takehiko, Emi, and Nanako were all shocked. At this moment, they want to understand the ins and outs of the whole thing. Takehiko shook his head and sighed, "When I jumped down from the viaduct, I thought it was Maki Takahashishi behind the scenes. I didn't expect that the instigator of all this was Ryoto Matsumoto. This fraudulent, secretly played the game. Let me and Maki Takahashi suspect each other, and wanted to pour the dirty water of kidnapping and murdering the Sua brother and sister on me. It's really vicious." Emi spoke at this moment, "Brother, when you were resting, I heard some messages from the TMPD. I didn't understand it at first. Now after Mr. Charlie mentioned this point, all the clues are correct." "Got it?" Takehiko hurriedly asked, "What information? What clue?" Emi said truthfully, "Maki Takahashi's son was killed yesterday evening. The murderer blocked his convoy in the underground passage, locked him in the car and set it on fire to char." "What?" Both Takehiko and Nanako heard with surprise. Emi continued, "Later, Maki Takahashi was also assassinated by a ninja at home. Maki Takahashi is dead." Emi nodded, and said, "There are more terrifying things." Takehiko Ito stabilized his mind, and said, "Say. Matsumoto's family has more than 30 people, all of them have been destroyed?" The news that Matsumoto's family was decimated completely shocked Takehiko. He was already dumbfounded, and blurted out, "This will wipe out all the more than 30 Matsumotos. Isn't this too cruel? Who is so bold?" Emi shook her head and said, "Don't know the specifics. The police are also investigating this matter." Charlie said coldly at this time, "Do you still need to check it? It must be the Sua family. I rescued the Sua family siblings just in the middle of the night, and the Sua family killed the Matsumoto family behind the scenes in the middle of the night. Takehiko Ito looked a little surprised, and murmured, "The Sua family's behavior style is too harsh?" Ryoto Matsumoto only acted on their subordinates and 2 younger generations. Even if they take revenge, they could take Ryoto Matsumoto. Isn't it enough to kill people? At most, kill their bodyguards. Why do you have to hurt so many people up and down? Charlie said with a black face, this should be the style of the Sua family. With that, Charlie couldn't help thinking of his parents again. With the fierce style and vicious methods of the Sua family, the death of his parents is probably directly caused by them. Thinking of this, Charlie felt extremely upset. He was so blind that he saved and released the eldest grandson and eldest granddaughter of the Sua family. If he didn't intervene, the 2 brothers and sisters would have become cold corpses by now. In that case, the talent pool of the younger generation of the Sua family must have suffered heavy losses. More importantly, this could greatly blow the Sua family's arrogance. This is not that Charlie is narrow-minded, but that his parents' hatred is not shared. Seeing Charlie's ugly expression on the side, Takehiko couldn't help asking, "Mr. Charlie, are you okay?" Charlie chuckled and shook his head, "It's nothing, I am just a bit surprised." What can he say? He can't tell Takehiko Ito about the death of his parents and his own life experience. Ito nodded, was silent for a moment, and suddenly sighed, "I didn't expect that in just a few days, things would turn into the current situation." As he said, he continued with a serious face, "Now it seems that this incident seems to have been unintentional, and the Ito family has become the biggest beneficiary." Emi agrees and said, "This is indeed the case. Originally, we competed fiercely with the Takahashi family, but I did not expect that both Maki Takahashi and his son were dead. Next, the Takahashi family will be very vigorous and hurt. Also, Ryoto Matsumoto had been trying hard to catch up from behind. Now the entire Matsumoto family has been wiped out. All the business shares of the Matsumoto family have been released. Can the Takahashi family now have the ability to compete with us? Not to mention the families below. If we take the opportunity to grab the resources released by the Takahashi and Matsumoto families, then we will soon be able to become the true Japanese first family." Takehiko nodded, but there was no sign of happiness in his expression. He sighed, "I wanted to be like a samurai, and frankly compete with Takahashi, but I didn't expect that I would become a snipe and clam. A fisherman who has gained nothing for nothing, is really unbelievable." At this moment, Charlie looked at Takehiko with admiration. Most people at this moment are probably excited and overwhelmed. But what he didn't expect is that Takehiko still has this consciousness. At this time, Emi counseled, "Brother, there is no need to worry about how to win. After all, the things encountered by these 2 families are not behind us. Even if we take advantage of it, those who can pick it up have peace of mind, so the most urgent task is to quickly start cleaning the battlefield and take this opportunity to let the Ito family stand on top of their invincibility." Takehiko Ito did not answer immediately, but turned to look at Charlie, clasped his fists again, and said sincerely, "Mr. Charlie, thank you for all this. If it were not for you, the end of the Ito family might not be much better than Maki Takahashi. If it weren't for you, I'm afraid that the Ito family and the Takahashi family have already been calculated by Matsumoto to ruin our homes. You are the benefactor of the Ito family." Seeing this, Emmy immediately stood up, knelt on one knee, clasped her fists, and said sincerely, "Mr. Charlie, brother, he has trouble with his legs, so I would like to thank you on behalf of the Ito family." Nanako also hurriedly got up, and immediately knelt down with her aunt, and said in gratitude, "Master, please also accept my gratitude." Charlie sighed lightly and said seriously, "You too, please get up. You don't need to do this. Although I helped the Ito family by chance, you escaped this disaster. In the final analysis, it is the good fortune of the Ito family." Emmy and Nanako just got up. Emmy said to take Hiko Ito, "Brother, Mr. Charlie is right. In addition to Mr. Charlie's help in this matter, I have to say that the good fortune of our Ito family is really rare. Not only can we take the opportunity to absorb the Takahashi family and the Matsumoto family, the share released can also take advantage of the Takahashi family's vitality to promote cooperation with the Sua family. If the Sua family wants to do business, now they only have the choice of the Ito family." "No," Ito said without hesitation, "from now on, we will not cooperate with the Sua family of any nature." Emmy couldn't help asking, "Brother, why is this? Haven't you been looking forward to this collaboration?" Takehiko said very seriously, "That's because I didn't know enough about the Sua family. But now, through the Matsumoto family's affairs, I can see through the Sua family's behavior. The Sua family is too hostile and has no bottom line. Even the underage children are not spared. To cooperate with this kind of family is to seek the skin of the tiger." Emmy looked terrified, and suddenly said, "What my brother said makes sense, the Sua family's actions are indeed too cruel." As she said, Emmy suddenly remembered something and hurriedly said, "Brother, I heard that another family in China ranks second only to the Sua family seems to want to get involved in ocean shipping. They have been competing with the Sua family for many years. Similar to our situation with the Takahashi family over the years, if conditions are right, we can cooperate with the Wade family." Takehiko Ito shook his head and said, "Forget it. The Sua family and the Wade family are both very strong. In recent years, China's economic development has been advancing by leaps and bounds. The strength of these two families has also far surpassed other families in Asia, whether it is the Sua family or the Wade family. We are far from their opponents. To cooperate with the Sua family is to seek skin with the tiger, and to cooperate with the Wade family is to completely offend the tiger of the Sua family. In my opinion, we still should not put ourselves in such a dangerous situation." Speaking of this, Takehiko pondered for a moment and said seriously, "In this way, starting from today, the Ito family will terminate all cooperation with foreign families, and will not accept any invitation for cooperation. We have been working hard in the Japanese domestic market during this time. Let's try our best, dig deep holes, and accumulate food. When our strength is equal to or similar to that of Wade and Su, then consider cooperating with them." After hearing Takehiko's words, Charlie looked at him with a little admiration. It seems that Takehiko does have a good overall view, and he can control his inner greed, not to be greedy or aggressive. If you change to a very ambitious and greedy family, then you will immediately start to play high and play both ways. On the one hand, it completely suppresses other families in the country, strives to eat their share in a short time, and makes oneself a fat man. On the one hand, we must cooperate with large overseas families as soon as possible to further open up profit channels and develop ourselves rapidly. However, Takehiko Ito can clearly see the situation and the hidden dangers and hidden pitfalls. There is no doubt that the Sua family is indeed the tiger wolf family. Such a family not only has no morals, but also has no basic humanity. When cooperating with such a family, you must be on guard at all times, otherwise it is very likely that the opponent will be severely stabbed behind you. And if you fall to the Sua family's competitors, it is equivalent to directly standing on the opposite side of the Sua family, and the risk factor is even greater. Instead of doing this, it is better to close the door and try to develop yourself. Emmy also understood her brother's worries and vision, and said seriously, "Brother, you are right. I am too dull to see this level." Takehiko waved his hand. "Your thoughts are also normal. Starting a business is like a gamble. Either simply keep betting a little bit more, or you can have an unparalleled future, or after you reserve a certain amount of chips, learn to see and close." Speaking of this, Takehiko sighed, "If it were before tonight, I might also be the same as you thought. I would take this opportunity to give him a big shot. However, I walked through the gate and lost both. After the legs, I finally know the preciousness of life and the meaning of being alive, and after knowing that I almost lost Nanako, I became more aware of this. So, I want to be more cautious now, and being steady is more important than anything else." Emmy nodded seriously. At this time, Takehiko Ito glanced at Nanako, and said seriously, "Nanako, since you are now cured, from now on, stay in Tokyo with Odo-san." Nanako hesitated slightly. She likes the environment of Kyoto, and she is reluctant to leave Kyoto. However, thinking of the special situation now that she can no longer follow her own preferences, she immediately said, "Okay Odo-san, I will stay with you." Takehiko said, "Let you stay in Tokyo not only to allow you to accompany me, but also to let you get in touch with the family's business and industry earlier and start preparing for succession." Nanako hurriedly said, "Odo-san, I have no experience in running a business. Isn't it too early?" Takehiko nodded and said seriously, "It is indeed a little earlier, but now the situation is special, my legs are gone, and it will be more inconvenient to move in the future." Speaking of this, Takehiko sighed a little lonely. "Moreover, I am a disabled person, and I am not suitable for showing up on behalf of the family, which will affect the family image. So, you must be ready to take my seat now. At the very least, you must first assume the external image of the Ito family. Later, on the outside, you will represent the Ito family." Emmy also persuaded, "Yes, Nanako, you should stand up to the stage for your father now and let your father teach you and make suggestions for you." Nanako nodded gently and said, "Okay, I will definitely work hard." Takehiko and Emmy were relieved to see Nanako's promise so refreshing. Takehiko Ito naturally has high hopes for his daughter, but Nanako was obsessed with martial arts before and did not have much interest in the operation and management of the family business. At that time, Takehiko was still worrying about how to let his daughter gradually take care of him and focus on inheriting the family business. He thought that he could carry his body for more than 10 years, which would give Nanako a few more years of free time. Unexpectedly, things changed so much all at once. Although most of Japanese culture originated from China, it has more or less localized development. In China, most entrepreneurs put their interests first and do not pay much attention to external image issues. However, after the Meiji Restoration in Japan, the degree of westernization was relatively high, so Japanese entrepreneurs attached great importance to the external image of enterprises. To give the simplest example, if you do a clerical job in a Japanese company, you will have a headache in summer. Because most Japanese companies require their employees to wear formal attire during working hours, even in the middle of summer, they must wear a shirt, suit, and even a tie. Therefore, Japanese entrepreneurs hold press conferences or attend public events, regardless of age, all in formal wear. And the Japanese like to bow, because they are talking here, and then they suddenly stand up 90 degrees and take a bow, then sit down and continue talking. Therefore, Takehiko's current state is particularly unsuitable as a company's external spokesperson. Although Nanako is young, she has a very good image and is especially in line with the Japanese aesthetics. She is responsible for the outside world. For the Ito family, it is the best choice. Charlie is also very optimistic about Nanako, and encourages her. If Nanako takes over the Ito family, it has the potential to turn the Ito family into an internet celebrity company. The media will definitely beat the beauty president's personal settings. Setting up a successful establishment will enable the Ito family to achieve a multiplier effect in their careers. When Nanako heard Charlie's words, she couldn't help being a little embarrassed, and said with a blushing face, "Master Wade should stop making a joke about me. I don't have the temperament of a beautiful president. It's nothing more than catching ducks on the shelves. I have to do it." Charlie earnestly said, "Don't be presumptuous. With your perfect image and temperament, you will definitely become a beauty entrepreneur crazily sought after by all of Japan in the future, and maybe you will become a business card of the Japanese business community overseas." Nanako was so complimented by Charlie, she was ashamed and happy, and because she was a young girl who had just started her love, she had no ability to hide her own ability in this kind of thing, so she could only lower her head deeper and deeper. Takehiko immediately saw his daughter's extraordinary. At this moment, he was already certain that his daughter had fallen in love with Charlie. Observing for a moment, he strengthened his opinion. At this moment, as a father, he felt a little melancholy in his heart, but at the same time, he felt a little relieved for his daughter's emotional maturity. So he opened his mouth and said, "Emmy, Nanako, you two go out first, I want to talk with Mr. Charlie in private." Emmy and Nanako didn't think much about it. Seeing Takehiko was about to chat with Charlie in private, they got up to leave and left the ward. After the two people left, Ito looked at Charlie and said seriously, "Mr. Charlie, what happened before was offensive, and I still have to apologize to you. Thank you for repaying your grievances with morality and saving the little girl. The Ito family, otherwise, if it really makes the Sua family think that it was the Ito family who killed the Sua family's heirs, the Ito family is afraid that we would face annihilation?" Charlie smiled slightly and said, Mr. Ito is polite. I saved Nanako out of a friend's relationship. As for indirectly helping the Ito family, you don't have to be too polite to me. After all, I took your money. There is an old saying about taking money from others and helping others to eliminate disasters. I can't take money without doing anything, right? Takehiko was stunned. The reason why he was dumbfounded was also completely shocked by Charlie's shamelessness. Charlie's words are very clear. Take people's money and fight against people. This means that the $4.5 billion can't be taken for nothing. You have to do something for the Ito family. Therefore, he has helped the Ito family get rid of the disaster, and the money can be taken with ease. Takehiko was shocked, more or less painful. Although he did feel that his daughter's life was more valuable than $4.5 billion, he would still feel distressed if he really threw $4.5 billion in. However, he knew very well in his heart that if you lose the $4.5 billion, you have lost. He has no other way to get the money back, or recover the loss to a certain extent, so there is no need to deal with this issue now. Thinking of this, he smiled awkwardly and said to Charlie, Mr. Charlie, your JX pharmaceutical has a very strong momentum of development. After the annexation of Kobayashi Pharmaceutical, I believe there must be a broader prospect. Don't know if we can work together. How about a certain amount of cooperation on this? Charlie smiled and said, Mr. Ito, there is actually nothing to cooperate in this matter. JX Pharmaceutical is the foundation of my life and I will not give up my share of it. Takehiko hurriedly said, Mr. Charlie, I don't want your share, but I really want to have a certain degree of in-depth cooperation with you. In the future, the Ito family will hand it over to Nanako. You and Nanako are friends, and I think it can be concluded that Nanako trusts you very much. You can try various forms of in-depth cooperation. This is good for you and us, and it is truly mutually beneficial. Charlie smiled slightly, I will naturally consider this in the future. If the time is right, I will definitely not reject cooperation with Miss Nanako. That's good. Takehiko breathed a sigh of relief and said seriously, Mr. Charlie, I can see that Nanako likes you very much. If you two can have any possibility, then I'm so relieved. Charlie said immediately, Mr. Ito, Ms. Nanako is still very young. Don't talk about this kind of thing. If it spreads out and gets misunderstood, it will ruin Nanako's reputation. Takehiko waved his hand, my daughter has been raised for 22 years. No one in this world knows her better than me. I can see that she really likes you, and she likes you sincerely, if possible. I also suggest that you stay in Japan for development. You have JX Pharmaceutical and Nanako has the Ito family. If you two can combine to become a husband and wife, you will definitely become the top existence in Asia and even the world. Charlie smiled and asked, Mr. Ito should have investigated me? You should know that I am already married. I know. Takehiko Ito smiled slightly and said indifferently, what about being married? You are married, doesn't Nanako still like you? So, it's good for me and for Nanako, we don't care about your past and present. What we care about is your future. With that, Takehiko said very seriously, Mr. Charlie, after today's events, I have a very clear understanding of life. When people live, everything has meaning. Being rich means being rich, and being poor means being poor. If you die, no matter whether it is rich or poor, it will be nothing. If it were before today, I would never let my daughter marry a foreign man, but at this moment, these are no longer important to me. What is important is how to make my daughter happy. The important thing is, how can my daughter have the best life? Mr. Charlie has the ability, strength, and charm that a strong man should have. Nanako is cultivated, has a background, is strong external and internal, and she likes you so much. I believe you must have some feelings for Nanako in your heart, otherwise if you didn't, you would never travel all the way to Japan and make a special trip to Kyoto to see her, save her life, heal her injuries, and even drive a few hundred kilometers in the middle of the night to take her to Tokyo to see me. Charlie nodded and said, Mr. Ito, it is undeniable that Nanako is indeed a very good girl, but I still said that I'm already married. Takehiko waved his hand and said, don't always prevaricate me by this getting married fact. You can divorce if you are married. Even if you don't leave, you can marry Nanako in Japan. As long as you don't go back, there is no problem. Charlie shook his head and smiled, Mr. Ito, I really appreciate some of the precious qualities of Miss Nanako, but what you said is still impossible. After a pause, Charlie said again, and I will not stay in Japan, today, tomorrow at the latest, I will return to China. Takehiko smiled and said seriously, Mr. Charlie, you have an old Chinese saying that good birds choose wood and live in them. I have investigated your background. Forgive me to be honest, your current wife is not worthy of you. Charlie looked at Takehiko noncommittently, and asked with a smile, Mr. Ito seems to have studied Chinese culture very much. Just now he could say words like dug a hole deep and accumulate grain, and now there is good bird. Choose wood and live, you seem to be a Chinese expert too. Ito said seriously, when he was young, he admired Togo Hihachiro, who led the Japanese fleet to defeat the Russians in the Battle of Tsushima. I started to follow his footsteps, read Chinese history books, and learned a lot of Chinese culture and classical literature. Charlie nodded and said with a smile, Mr. Ito is so studious, really admirable, but I still want to make it clear to you, I will not divorce my wife. So, just ask Mr. Ito not to mention it again. Charlie said again, also, I am leaving Japan soon, so please don't mention this to Nanako, so as not to have a negative impact on her. Takehiko looked at Charlie and said seriously, Mr. Charlie, you Chinese pay attention to the cycle of fate, you see, before tonight, it was Nanako who was injured sitting in a wheelchair. The doctor also vowed to say that she might live a lifetime like that. Couldn't stand up anymore, but now? As Takehiko said, he reached out and patted his amputated knee lightly, and laughed at himself. Now, Nanako, who was declared by the doctor that it is impossible to stand up again, stands up again, but I lost my legs, so I said this life is a cycle. Charlie frowned and said, Mr. Ito, I don't quite understand what you mean. Ito said with a smile, I mean, even if you leave Japan today and swear that you will never come back again, when the wheel of fortune turns, it is likely to send you back here, even if you are unwilling. You can't help it. The same is true for your wife. Even if you think you will never divorce her, the wheel of fortune may one day separate you. Everything in the world is confusing and perplexing. Mr. Charlie is still young and there are still decades to go in his life. Why should he speak so absolute now? The words of Takehiko made Charlie more or less surprised. First of all, he did not expect that Takehiko would know so much about Chinese culture. Secondly, he did not expect that Ito would mention the cycle of fate. He doesn't know whether the Japanese believe in feng shui or not, but now, the Japanese believe in fate at least. These words of Takehiko Ito seem to be nonsense, but they also contain a bit of truth. What he said was not a complete catch. After all, no one can say good about fate. He thought of the 100-year-old feng shui master he met in Waterest Mountain in East Cliff. That master relied on the deduction of the cycle of fate that finally met himself in Waterest Mountain. It was also that he personally broke the fate of Dragon Shoals so that he could fly into the sky. That old gentleman must have a deeper understanding and perception of the fate cycle. It is a pity that the old master is on the other side of the ocean and may not have the opportunity to meet again in the future. Otherwise, he really wants to sit opposite him, sip tea, and have a long conversation. However, at this moment, Charlie suddenly thought of what Takehiko said. There is a cycle of fate, maybe in the future, he will meet the Feng Shui master again. By the same token, if you leave Tokyo or Japan today, you may come back someday in the future. Even if you don't come back, you should have the opportunity to meet Nanako again at a certain time and in a certain place. Thinking of this, Charlie sighed lightly and said to Takehiko Ito, Mr. Ito, I think we should leave the future to the future. After all, neither you nor I can control our fate. Takehiko nodded and said earnestly, Mr. Charlie, from today, the door of the Ito family will always be opened for you. In the future, the Ito family will replenish its energy and will not interact with any other overseas family or business. Cooperation, if one day, if you have enough ambitions and want to expand your horizons, the Ito family can cooperate with you unconditionally at any time. Charlie smiled and said, Thank you Mr. Ito for your kindness, but I am a person with no ambitions, no schooling, no ambition, and no ability, so let's leave it. In Charlie's view, although his attitude towards Takehiko had changed to a certain extent, it was not enough to let him put his guard down. Therefore, Charlie didn't want him to know his future plans. In fact, in Charlie's heart, he very much hopes to use JX Pharmaceutical to make the career snowball bigger and bigger. Because if he wants to avenge his parents, it is useless to rely solely on his personal strength. Not only his personal strength must be strong, but his economic strength is even more important. Otherwise, how could he be able to deal with a behemoth like the Sui family alone? Among other things, just from the Sui family's ability to cross the river with the raptors, and directly kill all the local Japanese snakes and the Matsumoto family, it is enough to see how strong this family is. This not only shows that the Sui family has an astonishing number of top masters, but also shows that they are extremely mobile. Zhaifei and Zaiyu have an accident in Japan, and they can immediately send a large number of masters. And it's not worse than the US military. If there is not enough strength, no one can single out such a family based on individual ability. Not to mention the combat power of dozens of hundreds of masters swarming, just the relatives and friends around, they are unable to protect. Therefore, Charlie knew very well that if he wanted to truly compete face-to-face with a family like the Sui family in the future, he must have a strong comprehensive strength, and being brave is not enough. What's more, he hasn't been able to determine how much responsibility the Wade family will bear for the death of his parents. If the Wade family had a major responsibility that they could not shirk in the death of their parents, then he might face the two top families of the Sui family and the Wade family in the future. Therefore, Charlie has decided that after returning to Oris Hill, he will keep a low profile and develop JX Pharmaceutical. Starting from JX Pharmaceutical, step by step, he will form his own business empire. Only in this way can he have the opportunity to sit face to face with the Sui family and the Wade family, and even trample them under his feet. Takehiko didn't know Charlie's true identity, let alone what Charlie was thinking. Seeing that he seemed to be really ambitious, he couldn't help but persuade, "Mr. Charlie, you have JX Pharmaceutical as your foundation and cash in your hand. Why don't you spread your business? Take the current ocean transportation as an example. The vast majority of international oil and bulk trade logistics rely on shipping. Now the international economic situation is declining, and this is a good opportunity for bargain hunting. Furthermore, your country is with the best economic development momentum at present, and it also has the most complete industrial system. Export trade is rising year by year. China's demand for ocean transportation from all over the world will increase, and the prospects for ocean transportation will be even greater. For the vastness. If Mr. Charlie is willing to do it, you can start from the Chinese mainland. If you need to expand to Japan's port and shipping business, the ITO family will definitely cooperate with you. Even if it is your green leaf, I am willing." At this time, Takehiko had a very simple thought in his heart. 4.5 billion will definitely not come back. JX Pharmaceutical will definitely not sell shares. In this case, it is better to find a way to attract Charlie step by step. If Charlie can be recruited to Ito's house as a son-in-law, what else should he worry about in the future? Charlie has the strength and ability, and saved his daughter's life. More importantly, his daughter loves him. Before, he wanted his daughter to marry Ichiro. It wasn't that he had to force his daughter to marry the Kobayashi family, but that his daughter at that time was simply a silly girl with powerless love. She didn't have anyone she liked at all, and he didn't know if she would move that muscle. Instead of this, he might as well choose the most suitable one for her. However, she obviously already has her favorite object now. As a father, he certainly hopes that his daughter will get what she wants. Besides, he also felt that a man like Charlie was indeed a good choice to be a son-in-law. For the happiness of his daughter, he is even willing to let the entire ITO family become his daughter's dowry. Anyway, he has this one daughter, everything is for his daughter to be happy and happy all her life. As for the assets of the ITO family, it doesn't matter whether the surname is Ito, Yamada, Watanabe, or even Wade. Because these assets will still be in the hands of his daughters, son-in-law, and the offspring born to them. In Ito's view, the real inheritance is blood, not surname. Charlie only smiled at Takehiko's suggestion, and said seriously, "It's true that my current development focus is to do a good job of JX Pharmaceutical. If JX Pharmaceutical can develop, then I will consider other businesses. Seeing that Charlie declined his proposal temporarily, Ito sighed regretfully. He really hoped that Charlie would be able to set up the stall of ocean shipping. Because at this stage, the bulk of Asian ocean shipping is in China. More than half of the top 10 busiest ports in the world are in China. Only with such a huge import and export trade can the huge ocean shipping industry be supported. This is beyond the reach of Japan. Therefore, even if the Ito family wants to do it themselves, there is not enough market and demand support in the local area, and it is difficult for a clever woman to cook without rice. So he said to Charlie, "Mr. Charlie, the Ito family will gradually hand over to Nanako for operation and management. If you change your mind, you can contact her at any time. I believe you will be able to establish a very good foundation for cooperation." Charlie nodded lightly and said seriously, "If I have this idea, I will definitely contact Miss Nanako." Takehiko smiled and said, "Nanako is a good girl. I dare say that in terms of overall conditions, in Japan you may not be able to find a better girl than her. Whoever marries her is to marry the best Japanese Yamato Nadeshiko. Will become the envy of men all over the world." Charlie smiled kindly, but did not answer. Knowing that freezing 3 feet is not a day's cold, Ito said, "Mr. Charlie, you and the little girl are tired and have no rest at night, so I will send you to the house to take a rest first." Charlie waved his hand, "No need, Mr. Ito, I have something to do, I have to hurry back to Osaka, so I won't bother you too much." "That's how it works." Takehiko seriously said, "Mr. Charlie, you drove over overnight. You have not rested or even eaten any food. If you just leave, then the hospitality that my Ito family ancestors upheld, wouldn't it be reduced to a laughing stock?" As he said, he didn't wait for Charlie to refuse, and hurriedly pressed the pager on the bedside, and said, "Let Emmy and Nanako come in." After a while, Nanako and Emmy knocked gently on the door and entered the ward. Nanako asked softly, "Odo-san, what's your order?" Takehiko Ito said to Emmy, "Emmy, Mr. Charlie and Nanako have worked very hard all night. You arrange for someone to send them back to the house to rest. Remember to call ahead and let the chef prepare the best dishes." Emmy hurriedly said, "Okay, brother." Charlie said sincerely, "Mr. Ito, really don't bother, I will just drive back to Osaka directly." Takehiko said very solemnly, "Mr. Charlie, even if you want to go back to Osaka, you should at least sit down at the house for a while, eat a meal, have a cup of tea, and then leave." Nanako also persuaded from the side, "Yeah, Master Wade, the mansion is not far from here, you can eat something, take a rest and set off again, it's not light yet." In the middle of the night, the two arrived in Tokyo by car for traveling more than 3 hours, and it was only 4 o'clock in the morning. And it's winter again now, and it's already late, and it will take at least 2 hours before dawn. Seeing that both father and daughter were so polite, Charlie had to agree, and said, "If this is the case, then I'm better off being respectful." Upon hearing this, Emmy hurriedly said, "Then I will arrange the convoy. Now there are a lot of people from the TMPD. They will be escorted and protected all the way. Safety is definitely guaranteed." Takehiko nodded and exhorted, "You must be a good host to entertain Mr. Charlie. Emmy quickly arranged a team to accompany them, and Charlie still drove the car he came in. Nanako also got into Charlie's car without hesitation. Afterwards, Charlie drove the car and, under the leadership of the convoy, went to the residence of the Ito family. Although Tokyo is one of the most expensive cities in the world, the Ito family also owns a private manor in a quiet place. The entire manor is designed with Japanese-style ancient buildings, which is very simple, but it reveals low-key luxury everywhere. Charlie found that even the wood used to build the house was extraordinary. It seems that the top big families have no place to spend more money, so when building and decorating, they are completely trying to spill money everywhere. If you can use high-end ones, you definitely don't need ordinary ones, you can use imported ones. Never use local ones. In the final analysis, it is still a sentence, only choose the expensive, not the right one. Because Emmy called in advance, the servants of the entire Ito residence were all neatly dressed, waiting respectfully at the entrance of the residence, in the courtyard and inside the villa. Charlie parked the car and, led by Nanako, walked through the beautiful courtyard and walked all the way to the door of the villa. All the servants along the way bowed 90 degrees, with a very humble attitude. The villa of the Ito family in Tokyo is a huge multi-story wooden building. The whole building looks like a huge ancient temple, and the internal space is surprisingly large. As soon as they arrived at the entrance of the main hall, Nanako suddenly leaned down and knelt on the ground, holding both hands empty, and said to Charlie, "Master, please let me change slippers for you." Charlie was stunned, and hurriedly waved his hand, "No need, no, give me slippers, I'll just do it myself." Nanako insisted, "I should help Master to change it. This is a Japanese tradition, and Master should just go to the countryside and do as the customs." Charlie thought to himself, China has long been equal between men and women, why in Japan, women still kneel and change shoes for men? But then thinking about it, since it is a custom of others, they may not feel that there is anything wrong with this. If they insist on opposing it, they will break the other party's rules. So he had to lift his feet up and said sincerely, "Then work hard, Miss Nanako." Nanako, who was still wearing a kimono, looked up at Charlie, and smiled ashamed. She was so beautiful. Afterwards, she gently held Charlie's feet with both hands, and gently changed him a pair of slippers, then slowly stood up and said, "Master, please." Charlie nodded slightly and walked in with her. Nanako introduced to him, "This house has a history of more than 100 years. It was severely damaged during the Great Kanto earthquake. Because the repair cost was too high, no one paid attention to it. Later, it was taken by the father. He bought it and spent huge sums of money to repair it, and it looks like this now." Charlie asked curiously, "Mr. Ito seems to have a soft spot for this old house? The house in Kyoto looks much older than this one." Nanako smiled softly, "In fact, it's mainly because I like this style of architecture. After I moved from Kyoto to Tokyo at the age of 14, I have not been accustomed to life in Tokyo, so my father bought it here and spent a lot of money to repair it and it became what it is now." With that, Nanako said with emotion, "But I still like Kyoto more." Charlie nodded and said, "This mansion is quiet in the noisy city, and it has an ancient flavor and charm. It is already very good, but the Kyoto one is indeed better. Nanako said in a sad tone, "My father asked me to take over the family affairs. It seems that I will rarely have the opportunity to go back in the future." After finishing speaking, she looked up at Charlie, and asked a little pleading, "Master, I have a request. I wonder if you can agree to it." Hearing Nanako's words, Charlie immediately opened his mouth and said, "You speak, if I can, I will agree." Nanako hesitated for a moment, looked at him expectantly, and said seriously, "I want to ask Master Wade to leave later." "Later?" Charlie was slightly surprised, and subconsciously asked, "How long is that late?" "To tell you the truth, I actually plan to return to China tonight, and the plane is still waiting in Osaka." Nanako's eyelids were hot, her eyelids drooped slightly, and she whispered, This mainly depends on Master's schedule. If time is tight, a few hours are all right." With that said, Nanako hurriedly added, "Don't get me wrong, Master. The main reason is that both father and Tanaka are seriously injured and hospitalized. Aunt is not only busy with family affairs, but also busy taking care of them. And my mind is a little confused now, don't know where to start for the time being. I want Master to stay with me for a few more hours." Charlie thought for a moment and nodded, "Then I will stay until the afternoon, because it will take 4 hours to return to Osaka." Nanako asked, "You have booked a flight from Osaka, Master?" "No." Charlie said truthfully, "My friend helped get a private jet, which is now parked at Osaka Airport." Nanako asked tentatively, "Master, can you let the people you travel with come to Tokyo by plane first, and then you go to Tokyo Airport to meet them and fly back to China? In this case, you can save 4 hours of driving." After finishing speaking, Nanako hurriedly said, "If it is inconvenient, it doesn't matter, Master needn't feel embarrassed." Charlie thought for a while. His original plan was to drive back to Osaka first, then meet Isak, Orville, and Liang and fly back to Oris Hill from Osaka. However, the method Nanako said is also a good solution. Let Isak and the others come directly to Tokyo by plane, so he doesn't have to drive this way. Moreover, it is normal for Nanako to feel at a loss and helpless for a while after the Ito family has experienced an accident. He might as well stay here for another day, and he can also inquire about the Sua family's actions in Tokyo. Thinking of this, he said to Nanako, "If this is the case, then I will wait till dawn to say hello to my friends and see their situation." Nanako clenched her fists excitedly, and said happily, "That's great." The cheerful Nanako quickly invited Charlie to her dining room. It is said that the dining room at home is actually bigger than a medium-sized restaurant outside. Charlie feels like entering a Japanese-style buffet restaurant, where there are several busy chefs, and they are making all kinds of meals. Nanako asked Charlie expectantly, "Master, do you like any of these meals? Just say if you like them, and the chefs will prepare them for you immediately." Charlie looked around for a long time, and didn't feel any sense of all kinds of delicacies, so he smiled slightly and said, "Thank you, please give me a bowl of ramen." Nanako hurriedly said to the chef responsible for making ramen, "Yokoyama, please make 2 bowls of ramen. Master Wade's bowl needs double noodles." The chef respectfully said, "Okay lady, please wait for a while, it'll be ready." At that time, just when Charlie and Nanako were having food at Ito's house, in the presidential suite of the St. Regis Tokyo, Zin, who was in his 50s, was already out of bed. He was holding a cup of coffee and a cigarette in between, looking at the Tokyo street scene still shrouded in the dark outside the window, and he was surprised. When the cigarette burned out, he poked the cigarette butt into the ashtray, then lit another one, and asked his confidant Josh, "How are the young masters and young ladies now?" Josh checked the time and said, "The plane should land in East Cliff in half an hour. I have already informed the family that the wife has already rushed to the airport with the doctor. When the plane lands, he will immediately take the young master and miss take them to the family hospital for a comprehensive examination." Zin nodded, and said with a gloomy expression, "This time the incident is so dangerous, I almost put both Haifei and Zyu in Tokyo in danger. This Matsumoto, even if he is annihilated, he is still at advantage, and it is difficult to quench my anger." Josh hurriedly said, "Master Matsumoto's family has become coke, you don't have to be too angry." Zin gritted his teeth and licked his smoke before he said fiercely, "After all, it is in Tokyo. If it is not so convenient to do things without leaving, I will definitely let Ruelai catch Matsumoto in front of me. Cut him 1,000 times, and watch him bleed till his last breath." Josh said, "Master, the TMPD has guessed that this incident was caused by our Sua family. When you are resting, they have been protesting with me. They feel that we have made such a big disturbance and they still don't say hello. Too much, and threaten to submit this matter to the Homeland Security Council for investigation and handling, thinking that this matter has violated their homeland security." "Infringement of homeland security?" Zin coldly snorted, "A good man Matsumoto in a small area can be hooked on homeland security? I think they are not satisfied that we killed so many people in Tokyo. Can't hang on it?" "Yes," Josh said truthfully, "the Tokyo government is also very dissatisfied. It feels that this matter is too cruel and affects Tokyo's image very much, so they decided to investigate it to the end. Moreover, the international airports of Tokyo and several surrounding cities have entered a state of emergency. They are strictly investigating all departing foreigners, and even announced that private jets that are temporarily not allowed to leave the country and charter flights take off. Our private jets are all monitored. Things may be a little tricky." Zin asked him, "Which other airports in this state are relatively more relaxed?" Josh said, "At present, there should be only Osaka Airport, because Osaka is quite far away, hundreds of kilometers." Zin nodded and said, "Then let them spread out, find a way to take public transportation to Osaka, and then transfer another plane from China. Remember not to transfer from East Cliff, from China to the sea, so as not the Japanese customs are alerted, and then take Ruelai and the people who actually participated in the action back to the country tonight." "Okay, Master." Josh nodded respectfully, and then asked again, "Master, when do you plan to go back then?" "I'm not in a hurry." Zin smiled and said coldly, "The Takahashi family suffered heavy losses, the Matsumoto family is completely destroyed, and Takehiko is disabled. Tokyo is very safe now. I will stay for 2 more days." After all, he checked the time and said, "Josh, prepare some gifts for visiting patients in the morning, and come with me to the hospital at noon to take a look at Takehiko Ito." This is our only partner at the moment. Charlie and Nanako had breakfast together, and the sky in Tokyo was already bright. Nanako said to Charlie, "Master, I will ask the servant to prepare a guest room for you. You can take a short rest. You haven't slept all night. It's too hard." Charlie smiled slightly, shook his head and said, "Don't bother, I'm not tired." "How can you not be tired?" Nanako couldn't hide her distress. "Since the battle with Tenglin Ninja last night, Master has never rested for a while, and you has gone through 2 battles and drove hundreds of kilometers." Charlie smiled and asked her, "You haven't rested, do you feel tired?" Nanako looked slightly startled, and she thought about it for a moment, and said, "I really don't feel tired at all. Not only I don't feel tired, but I also feel like I have inexhaustible strength all over my body. The whole body is in a very good state." After that, she hurriedly asked, "Master, this should be the effect of the medicine you gave me?" Charlie nodded and said with a smile, "Yes, that medicine can not only cure injuries, but also improve the body's ability and endurance, so people will not get tired so easily." Nanako couldn't help feeling, this medicine is really amazing. If it produces energy, Master Wade's JX Pharmaceutical will definitely become the world's top pharmaceutical company, right? Charlie smiled and said, "This medicine can't be mass-produced. It is a very rare thing in itself. It was left by ancient Chinese genius doctors. If you take one, you will lose one. In fact, the medicinal materials needed for refining the rejuvenating pills are not difficult to obtain. But the key is that this pill must be refined with spiritual energy. Aura is like the powerful energy that turns steel into molten iron during steel making. Without this energy, just pile a pile of iron ore together for 10,000 years, and iron ore cannot turn into steel. Therefore, it is not difficult for Charlie to make this medicine, but the possibility of mass production is multiplied. Moreover, he is not going to put such a strong medicine out for mass production. This thing is too bad for ordinary people. If it comes out in large numbers, it is likely to cause a shock in the world, and it is definitely not a good thing for him." When Nanako heard him say this, she regretted a little bit, but didn't think about it anymore. Charlie checked the time and said, "I'll call a friend and tell them about coming to Tokyo." Nanako nodded expectantly. Charlie took out his cell phone and called Isak. As soon as the phone was connected, Isak asked him, "Master, where did you go? I didn't see you all night." Charlie said, "I'm in Tokyo." "Ah?" Isak became more puzzled, and asked, "Didn't you not say that you are going to see friends in Kyoto? Why did you go to Tokyo again? This is a few hundred kilometers away." Charlie said, "Something happened at my friend's house, so I accompanied her to take a look." Then he asked, "By the way, old man, how are things going on in Osaka?" Isak hurriedly said, "Going back to the young master, things are going well. Today, the day will basically be over. When do you think we will return to Oris Hill?" Charlie said, "I called you just to talk about this. I have something to do in Tokyo. After you get it done, you will fly to Tokyo first. Then I will come to the airport and meet you. Let's be together and fly from here to Oris Hill." Isak blurted out, "Master, private jets can't fly in Tokyo now. It's restricted. Charlie asked in surprise, why are private jets restricted here in Tokyo? Isaac said, I heard from my Japanese subordinates that in the past 2 days in Tokyo, there have been many very serious criminal cases in succession, and they seem to be related to foreign forces. Therefore, Tokyo has strengthened customs control and private jets. If you want to leave Japan, only Osaka can let you fly out in the entire region, and you can't fly out from anywhere else. Hearing this, Charlie understood in his heart. Strict control here in Tokyo must be inseparable from the fact that the Sui family killed Ryoto Matsumoto. In fact, if you think about it carefully, you can figure out why. Take the TMPD as an example. If someone violates the law in Tokyo, they definitely want to punish the perpetrator through normal legal means. However, a group of foreigners suddenly came out on their turf and abused their nationals, and the methods were so cruel. This kind of thing cannot be tolerated by any country's security department. Therefore, it can be seen that the TMPD, and even the Homeland Security Department, hope to catch the Sui family's gangsters as soon as possible, in order to apprehend them, and at the same time save a bit of face. Thinking of this, Charlie sighed softly and said, forget it, you guys wait for me in Osaka. I will drive over in the afternoon. Isaac hurriedly said, Master, it's too hard to drive, such a long distance, and it's still snowing here in Osaka. The highway is closed because of the thick snow. You may not be able to make it in 6 or 7 hours. Leave the car at Tokyo Airport and let my staff drive by themselves. You fly directly from Tokyo to Osaka. See you at the airport, so the time will be faster. Charlie asked him, I have no restrictions on flying from Tokyo to Osaka, right? Isaac said, there are currently no restrictions on flying within Japan. They can't control the entire domestic and overseas aviation at once, but it should be tightened gradually. Charlie said, let's leave tonight, no delay. I will try to arrive at Osaka Airport at 7, and then we will meet and take off from Osaka Airport on time at 8. Isaac hurriedly said, okay master, then we will arrive at Osaka Airport before 7 o'clock to wait for you. Okay, see you tonight. Charlie hung up the phone, and Nanako hurriedly asked, Master, what happened? Charlie nodded, and told Nanako about the situation. After hearing it, Nanako said, then I will help Master with the ticket now. With that said, she quickly took out her mobile phone and checked the flight information. Master, there is a flight that takes off at 5:40 in the afternoon. It takes an hour to get to Osaka and land at 6:40. Is this okay? Charlie nodded, the time is just right, so choose this one. Nanako said, Master, give me the passport number. I'll book the ticket. I'll take you to the airport in the afternoon. The short-haul ticket itself is not expensive, so Charlie didn't decline, and said to Nanako, thank you, Nanako. Nanako smiled knowingly, Master, and I don't have to be so polite. After that, she remembered something and asked Charlie, by the way, Master, would you like to take some gifts for your family when you go back tonight? Shopping in Tokyo is still very convenient, usually in the afternoon, it will be more lively. If you want to go shopping, I have lunch with you, okay? Charlie thought, he must take some gifts to his wife after he has been away for so many days, and his mother-in-law, Elaine, also hoped that he would get something for her, so he took time to go out and stroll around. So, he said to Nanako, "Then you will accompany me to take a good round. I am really not familiar with Tokyo." Nanako smiled and said, "No problem, I will accompany Master to Ginza in the afternoon." After that, she thought of her father Takehiko, and asked Charlie, "Master, I want to go to the hospital to deliver meals to my father at noon. Is it convenient for you to come with me?" Charlie agreed without thinking, "Okay, let's go to the hospital first, and then go shopping." After breakfast, Charlie, who had nothing to do, was dragged by Nanako to her room. Just like in Kyoto, Nanako invited Charlie to sit on the tatami in the room, burned a plate of incense, and prepared a cup of Japanese matcha for Charlie. Then she said to him, "Master, I want to take a look at the financial statements and detailed information of the family industry, and get familiar with the overall operation of the family as soon as possible. If you feel bored, please tell me." Charlie was free, so he said casually, "I have nothing to do, you get busy, I will play with the phone for a while." Charlie doesn't really like to play with mobile phones, and unlike young people nowadays, he always keeps his hands on the phone. The reason why he wants to look at his cell phone is to check the news in Tokyo to see if he can find more useful information. Nanako leaned over in front of the bookcase and looked at the confidential family data attentively. The information in her hand was all top secret, but she did not shy away from Charlie beside her. Charlie flipped through some local news, and one piece of news aroused his interest. The news said that relatively serious violent incidents have occurred in Tokyo. As the #1 violent organization in Japan, the Yamaguchi Group issued a message to its members across the country, claiming to use violence to curb violence and use violence to maintain public order in Tokyo. The Yamaguchi Group is the head of the Japanese gang, and it is one of the world's 3 largest gangster organizations with the Italian mafia, and its strength cannot be underestimated. They issued a statement at this time, although they did not name anyone, it should be aimed at the Sua family. This time the Sua family played a bit too big, and offended all Japanese black and white. Even if they can retreat completely this time and want to come to Japan to develop in the future, they will probably receive special attention from the Japanese government and non-governmental organizations. At this moment, Wade family mansion. Charlie's grandfather, Zhongchuan, called the entire Wade family to a meeting because of the same news. Today's Zhongchuan looks very happy. While flipping through the news with a tablet, he said to everyone, "This time the Sua family really lost it and broke down. The cooperation has not yet been negotiated. The eldest grandson and the eldest granddaughter almost died, and now the entire Japan is offended, and I'm afraid it will be difficult for the Sua family to go to Japan for development in the future." Charlie's uncle Andrew laughed, and said triumphantly, "The Sua family is also embarrassing this time. The family's old master is afraid that he can't eat for 3 days. Third uncle Chang Jiun said with some regret, "Hey, in the final analysis, the Sua family is still lucky. Ryoto Matsumoto has done such a big game, why did the mysterious man rescues Haifei and Zyu? If Haifei and Zyu die in Tokyo, the entire Sua family must be greatly injured. These are the 2 most outstanding members of their younger generation." Yet, Zhongchuan couldn't help sighing, although Cheng Feng has the wrist and courage, After all, he is old and Zin is more than hot, but his ability is still lacking. In front of Changjing, he's like a clown, and not enough to look at it. The wife he crazily pursues, after being rejected countless times by Changjing, became discouraged and chose to marry him. Speaking of this, Zhong Chuan sighed and said with a grimace, if Changjing was still alive, don't say that Sui family is the heavenly dragon, and it may not have been Wade family's opponent. Hearing the old master pitying Changjing again, Andrew was a bit dissatisfied and said, Dad, Changjing has been away for so many years, so please stop mentioning this kind of thing. Let's not talk about it again. Act responsible, so even the entire East Cliff family is inseparable, and it is not something we can control. Changjun also agreed, yes, Dad, isn't this talk not about Zhaifei and Xiu? Why did you talk about Changjing? The old master sighed and waved his hand, don't say it, let's get it right. All in all, the Sui family's first step towards Japan is already emptying one foot. The next situation will face them very much. Unfortunately, this is a good opportunity for us to catch up and take advantage of it. What do you think? Everyone glanced at each other, and Andrew was also very agreeable and said, Dad, you are right, I also think this is our great opportunity. Our ocean shipping business started later than the Sui family and was at an absolute disadvantage, but if we could take advantage of the failure of the Sui family, reach cooperation with the Ito family, and take the Japanese market, it would be tantamount to getting stuck in the Sui family. The neck is definitely a powerful blow to the Sui family. Zhong Chuan nodded, but he pondered for a moment before he said, at the moment, we are not suitable for direct competition with the Sui family. This matter must be kept low-key and slowly. We must not let the Sui family know in advance. Cynthia asked in a puzzled way, Dad, the Sui family can go to Japan to destroy people's families in a high-profile manner. When we go to Japan to talk about cooperation, should we still hide it? Zhong Chuan smiled slightly, the strength of the Sui family is there. We are now talking about cooperation with the Ito family in the future with great fanfare. For the Sui family, it just slapped them and made them hard on their faces. After speaking, Zhong Chuan said again, however, we slapped the Sui family. With the style of the Sui family, they will inevitably conflict with us, and we will be in trouble. Andrew asked hurriedly, Dad, what do you mean then? Zhong Chuan said very seriously, if you want to deal with the Sui family, you must dissect your opponent from a deeper level, instead of superficially comparing the two sides' paper data. Andrew quickly stood up, bowed and clasped his fists. Dad, I am dull, please tell me. Zhong Chuan shook his head slightly, thinking of Changjing again in his heart. He sighed in his heart, my eldest son, Andrew, is also a brilliant talent, but he is still far from the level of genius, so he can't do it well. However, Changjing was the top genius who never came out of the world. Changjing was never percent through a single point, but rather perceived without a point and learned without a teacher. What a pity, what a pity! Andrew also saw a trace of disappointment in his father's eyes, and suddenly his face turned red. Zhong Chuan expressed a few words in his heart, and quickly put away his thoughts, and said to everyone, although the Sui family has many heirs, only Xin can enter Qin Feng's eyes. What's more, Zin's sons and daughters are very competitive. The two most outstanding young people of this generation. Especially that Xiu, who is deeply loved by Cheng Feng and Zin. The degree of preference for Xiu between these two fathers and sons has long surpassed other heirs, even the eldest grandson's Hai Fei. So, once Cheng Feng is dead, the power will definitely fall into the hands of the Zin family. In the future, among the Zin family, the one with the greatest say in the future must be Xiu. Speaking of this, Zhong Chuan was already glaring, and said forcefully, Xiu is a female stream and will eventually marry as a wife. Once she gets married, it will be the day when the Sui family will divide into two. So, whoever can conquer Xiu can conquer half of the Sui family's assets. Join our Facebook and WhatsApp group for more updates, link is given in description. Rest audiobook will be continued in next episode.